As the sun is setting and the last of the coffee shops and boutiques close their doors, along the dimly lit streets, a different side of the day begins to awaken. Live music bellows from the bars and the restaurants, and as night falls over St. Augustine, I join this awakening, not as a tourist or a patron, but as a ghost tour guide. I found my passion for theater in high school and was lucky enough to carry that into the real world. Working several years in the haunted house, it was the perfect blend of performance and fright. And after years of not being spooky, a friend suggested I audition as a ghost tour guide, and the rest is haunted history. Now imagine, worn and uneven cobblestone lay the path beneath our feet as I guide guests on a journey into the lore and history and hauntings of St. Augustine. These streets have seen centuries of footsteps, and now we walk them together towards some of the most iconic and haunted sites in America's oldest city. From the skeptics who come for the local history told through ghost stories, to the avid paranormal enthusiasts who show up with their own gear and glowing EMF detectors. Some just want a good story. Others come ready to share unbelievable encounters and their own deep beliefs in the spiritual world. One experience I always come back to happened upstairs at a local bar called Stogie's. I was with a guest, having told them about the spirits believed to prowl the place, when suddenly a folding chair, sitting untouched, forcefully collapses to the ground. We all froze, wide-eyed, staring at each other in stunned silence. Another favorite stop is at the Spanish military hospital, tucked along Avelli Street, the oldest street in the city. I love sharing this story because it always gets a reaction as I describe the brutal, unmedicated procedures once done there, step by step, and watch guests visibly squirm. One of my favorite spirits to talk about is Henry Flagler, not just for who he was, but what he represents. In a way, he's living out everyone's dying wish to be remembered and spoken of long after death. It's said that his spirit has never left his beloved Ponce de Leon Hotel, which is now Flagler College. Just like many others, I've fallen in love with St. Augustine. For me, it's personal. I was born and raised here, and as a teenager, Friday nights went meeting my friends for games at the fort of Manhunt. Anybody remember that game? Back then, the city was our playground. Now I get to walk these very streets, sharing stories, both the living and the lingering. Meeting tourists from all over the world gives me a unique chance to connect and to listen. Some guests only come on tour to realize they've already visited a haunted stop earlier in the day and felt that unease, but didn't know why. And then it all clicks into place as I tell a story. Sometimes the ghosts get to them before I even do. When it's one of those perfect nights, every stair creaks, every light flickers, someone swears they've caught an orb, and at least one poor guest has gotten trapped in a bathroom, you know the spirits have joined in and decided that it's time to give us a private performance that evening, courtesy of the other side. There's usually at least one skeptic in every group, the no-nonsense, science can explain everything away type who is clearly just humoring one of their loved ones. You can spot them right away. Arms crossed, eyebrows raised, the occasional eye roll. But by the end of the night, even they tend to listen a little closer, linger a little longer, and sometimes even ask the most curious questions. Oftentimes, tourists leave without ever hearing about the native PechaKucha people that lived here long before the Spanish ever arrived. And that's why I make sure I share their legacy, especially when I talk about the coquina. The PechaKucha believe that this stone would trap the spirits, ensnarling them within the walls and cities of our streets. It's a haunting idea, isn't it? Captivating an audience might seem easy. Getting their attention is one thing, but keeping them engaged, that's the real trick. I help train new guides. My biggest piece of advice is to always let their own personality shine through. A good ghost guide story is part history, part theater, and part heart. Rain or shine, the show must go on, and honestly, rainy nights can set the perfect tone. And as I welcome guests into the evening, I fold the stormy weather into the narrative, letting the wind and the thunder and the slick cobblestone become part of the story. It's no longer just a ghost tour, it's an experience. Late nights are a certain layer of mystery, so when the lights begin to flicker or surge, you don't immediately blame the old wiring. More than once, I walk past a street lamp that begins to flicker right as we pass, almost as if something unseen is watching, or maybe even welcoming us to walk a little further. After giving guests a final farewell, the crowd slowly fades. A few linger, asking for directions or a last-minute recommendation, and then it's quiet again, and I find myself walking the same streets I just guided others through, but now they're part of my path home. The story settled, the city breeze, and I'm left in the stillness of it all. Some questions hit harder than others. When a younger guest joins a late-night tour, I'm always curious what they'll experience, or better yet, what they'll ask. One of the most common, will the ghost follow me home? I keep it simple. If all the ghosts followed someone home, I'd have nothing left to talk about. It gets a laugh and it eases the tension. Since becoming a guide, the love for St. Augustine has only deepened, and it's reignited my passion for histories in ways I've never expected. Getting to share these stories and a piece of myself night after night has helped me grow, not just as a storyteller, but as a person. It's more than a connection, it's an experience. One guest I'll never forget was part of a group of labor and delivery nurses. We were only at our second stop when I noticed her sitting at a bar, staring longingly into a mirror, talking softly to herself as I approached. When she looked up at me, wide-eyed, and calmly said, "I'm talking to the ghost, the one you just told us about?" It still gives me chills just thinking about it to this day. What keeps me going and coming back night after night? Maybe it's for my love of the darkness creeping from the long alleys, or the way the streetlights flicker, casting just enough shadow to see what's ahead, and maybe what's behind. Or maybe it's the quiet that drapes over the city, hanging from the lighthouse as it casts its beacon rhythmically, sweeping across the places that never truly sleeps.